Hey everybody, it's me, friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and welcome to another episode of my horror debate series that I collaborate with my good buddy Carlin. As you know, we're debating a wide array of topics in the horror genre. So, as always, after you watch my video, if you haven't watched Carlin's, please go check out his. I'll have a link down in the description. And then if you like, he's going to have a community tab open on his page. And you can vote for who you thought had the better option. And there's also a tie option as well. It's all good and fun, just friendly competition between two friends. Also, let us know in the comments down below what your stance on the topic is. We do love hearing from you. It means a lot to us. We both read every single comment. I reply to them as well, just like Carlin. I am going to ask real quick if you can, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to both of our channels. We both have a passion for horror movies. We love to talk about them. We love to talk to other people about horror movies, and it'll go a long way to keep us motivated to keep putting out this content, because I know we both work really hard on putting these videos out, and we both very much appreciate it. So thank you in advance for that. So last episode on our debate, we discussed what is the best PG-13 horror movie. So of course, this week we are going to discuss what is the worst PG-13 horror movie. Now, I picked a PG-13 horror movie that doesn't only fail as a PG-13 horror movie, but as a remake, as a regular horror movie, as it's just a bad movie. It being PG-13, I think, made it even worse, since the only thing that possibly could have saved this movie would have been like having great gore or original kills. But it did not, and I am talking about the Prom Night remake from 2008. Now, the first Prom Night is a great early 80s slasher. While not as iconic as early 80s slashers like Friday the 13th and Halloween 2, The Burning, it's still a very important film in the horror genre because it came out so early during the slasher craze. And it does have a pretty decent cult following. It stars the legendary Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis. It has Leslie Nielsen in a serious role, which is kind of cool. And if a movie's going to be remade, it deserves to be respected. This Prom Night remake failed miserably paying respect to the original. The original was rated R, but they made this one PG-13. I guess it was to be in more theaters, since movie studios actually think MPAA ratings mean anything, because people are going to see a movie regardless of the rating. And that was this movie's first mistake, toning down the horror, which is a common misstep with horror films, and it's just to achieve a family-friendly rating. Horror fans want explicit, terrifying, gory content. First, I'm going to talk about the plot. This movie was a prom night movie in name only. It bore no resemblance to the original in any way at all. And the plot really lacked any originality. It just follows a group of teenagers being stalked by a killer on prom night. A premise that's been explored in various other horror films and done way better. And there was no reason to call it Prom Night just because it took place on a prom night, because it was a cheap way of getting associated with an iconic early 80s slasher, when like I said, it bore no resemblance in any way whatsoever to the original Prom Night. And this film has no character development throughout any of the characters. It's very paint by numbers. Dumbass teenagers who all have their heads in the clouds, getting picked off way too easy. Been there, done that. No one had any growth in this movie. Donna, the main character, was totally useless. All she did was scream at fake jump scares. And then at the end of the movie, I feel she had no growth at all. Brittany Snow is a great actress. I absolutely loved her in X. But in here, I think she was given crap to work with, which is why, she really didn't have any character development. And also, there was no tension in this film. There was so many fake jump scares and jump scares. It became painfully predictable. Now, let me talk about the killer in this movie. In the original, at least there was some mystery to who the killer was. And I think that could help build tension throughout a film with red herrings that are getting picked off. It also makes trying to figure out who the killer is. It makes that a little interesting, keeps you interested in the film. In this movie, we're told right away who the killer is, and his motivation is just dumb. He was a teacher who had a crush on a student. It's just creepy and dumb. Now, if a horror movie is going to be PG-13, you can't have too much violence. At least you should have an intriguing story. And this movie surely did not. This was one of the if this was the best the writers can come up with, I'm curious what got left on, what script wasn't used. If this was the best I can actually come up with. A teacher who becomes obsessed with the student, who easily escapes where he's at because people in movies are stupid. A little bit more about the villain, because in a PG-13 horror movie, your villain really should be interesting. There is no compelling backstory here that could have made him a little bit more compelling. At least you could have added more depth to this character. In the original, there was a way you could even empathize with the villain, or at least understand his actions. Now, if it's executed well, that can add a lot to a horror movie. You have to bring something interesting to the plot. If you're going to be, especially if you're going to be limited with the amount of gore and violence, you're going to be able to show. Also, the kills really were not inventive at all. I just think he stabbed everyone when they weren't looking or if they were distracted. He wasn't scary. He was he was even less intimidating than Ghostface, for crying out loud. And if you guys know me, you know me, I don't think Ghostface is intimidating at all. But at least that villain is at least a little bit intimidating. This guy was just lame and boring. The only way he was able to kill people is because they made the other characters so dumb and predictable. Now, again, the performances, really forgettable. I don't even remember anybody's name in this movie. I actually had to look up to see what Brittany Snow's character's name was, and it was Donna, because I really forgot everybody's name in this movie because nobody is memorable at all. And I don't think it was fair to call this movie Prom Night just because it took place on prom night. And it's not even fair to call this a remake of that 1980s classic. I think this fails as a horror movie, as a remake, and especially as a PG-13 horror movie. If a movie's going to be rated PG-13, it can only show so much. You should have it intriguing, build tension, have some mystery to it. Have some good scares, have some comedy even, like my best PG-13 movie, The Gate. Have an original plot. Something to hook the audience and keep their attention, keep them interested. Have some inventive kills, even if you can't show them. You can have kills that allude to what's going on, and then the screen cuts away. But you can at least the viewer a chance to imagine what's going on, and that can be intriguing and scary in some instances. And the victims in this movie were just plainly stupid, or they were able to be killed by the main villain. I had to look up his name on this one, Richard Fenton, and that's really a lame name for your killer. He killed everybody with no effort, and when the killer just plows through everybody like that and he's not intriguing, it makes it for a boring, predictable movie. And again, the name Richard Fenton, is that the best you can come up with? I don't think that's the type of name to strike fear into the hearts of prom goers. Beware, or Richard Fenton may get you. But yeah, I just really could not enjoy this horror movie at all. It was so uninteresting, uninspiring, boring, predictable. Maybe if they made it rated R and had some inventive kills, some good gore, it might have been something redeemable to it, because it was so far removed from the original Prom Night from 1980. The only star power in this movie really was Brittany Snow. Again, I forgot everybody else's name in this movie. Yeah, but it wasn't interesting. It was boring. It was predictable. And being PG-13 made it lose a lot more points, because if it was rated R, as I was saying, at least it could have had some more gore or violence, inventive kills. Like, at least he killed that person. Kind of fun. He did this, he did that. But no, it was just like off-screen kills, stabs, lame paint-by-number jump scares that, I don't know, I really think a group of high schoolers who've only seen 2 horror movies wrote the script for this, because that's how it plays out. Oh, but how can we make the villain disguise himself? Oh, let's put a ball cap on him. I mean, come on. It was just a bad movie. Bad remake. Should never have called it Prom Night, and it's definitely one of the worst PG-13 horror movies I've ever had the unfortunate of watching. So, thanks for watching. Now, if you haven't done so already, please go to Carl's channel. Link for his video down in the description below. Watch his video on the same subject. And if you'd like, you can vote for who you thought had the better argument. And don't forget to let us know in the comments down below what you think the worst PG-13 horror movie is. I love to read those comments, and I love to talk horror with fellow horror fans. I really much appreciate it. And if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button on both of our channels, Carl and I would really, really appreciate it. Help us grow these channels. I'm trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the year. It is doable. If you can help me out, really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'll see you here on Friday for another episode of Nails in a Coffin, where I'm in the middle of the Saw franchise. Lots of fun. Check those videos out. I really do appreciate it. Well, take care of yourselves and be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. And remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.